What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Codex Station. It's Thursday night. We're doing a pivot tonight. We are not doing Comic Character of the Week because this week's character, Blue Beetle, was actually Chris's pick, and he is out sick. He hit Taco Bell too hard, and he cannot make the show tonight. So,
but that's only part of the story. Now, listen, there's full difference. Okay, so this was Chris's his first time picking a character, so that's why it seems sad he wouldn't make it. But he did hit Taco Bell hard. But what he did was he heard our Secretary of Health say that he wasn't worried about germs because he snorted cocaine off toilet seats. So Chris thought he was a badass and that he would eat Taco Bell off a toilet seat. So that just couldn't have worked out well. Taco Bell bad, eating anything off a toilet seat bad. But he put them
Taco
both.
Bell. Was it
at Taco Bell? He had it was a axis of evil where all three things came together, and he ate Taco Bell off a toilet seat in a Taco Bell bathroom.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
And that's what happened. Yeah.
So he is out. So we decided to pivot because, like Gary said, this was his first pick for Comic Character of the Week. We don't want him to miss it. So we're going to put Blue Beetle to next week, and that should work out just fine. So tonight we decided to call an audible. And we're doing this as the Ask Codex Anything show. Got a question in the chat? Put it in the chat. We'll answer it. So everybody start asking questions. You could ask us direct questions, or you could ask group questions, or what have you.
And whatever goes wrong, we take full responsibility. It's our fault for coming up with something this asinine at the when Pam gets here, it's free agent frenzy. We could talk about all the free agent signings. Dan's team made out like a bandit, got two number one picks back, and still got a premier pass rusher. So Dan's team pretty smart like a fox there, So do comics make you strong?
Yes. And yes.
Yes and yes. Why is that awesome at hosting? I don't know. It's just
he was born with it, baby.
Born with it.
It's because while Chris was busy snorting cocaine off of a Taco Bell bathroom toilet seat, Sal was in a Maggiano's snorting Parmesan cheese off of a bathroom toilet seat.
Chris,
which is fine.
Chris was not snorting cocaine. He was snorting a Burrito Deluxe.
Yeah, the Supreme.
The Burrito Supreme. Why does Lobo suck? Lobo sucks because he kicks cats. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
is what Richard would say. Though, that being said, I don't think anyone has ever used a Green Lantern ring
the way he did.
The way Lobo did, with a giant green dildo to
Atrocitus.
To wipe out Atrocitus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I guess that was right after he kicked the cat. So by that point, Richard was not wanting to pay attention.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I don't know that Guy Gardner ever laughed so hard. that is one of my favorite Guy Gardner moments. Is it yours, Dan? One of yours?
Just look it up on that.
Pam's on.
Pam. All right.
What's up, Pam?
Hey, Pam. So, Pam, what do you think of the free agent frenzy so far? Who has impressed you? Who's not impressed you? What do you think the best signing's been? So we've been waiting for you. We're going to talk about that tonight.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, I know one, a free agent. Pam, if you had to sign one member of the Legion to your squad as a free agent, who would you sign? There you go.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Well, let me kick off the quick opening thing so we can officially kick off this Codex show. Okay?
Let's do it.
All right.
Hello?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Codex Station, and it's our usual comic character. I'm sorry, it's not our usual comic character of the week on Thursday. We had to do a little pivoting because of Chris not feeling well. So it is what Gary would say, we're calling it audible. And we're changing it up. We're changing it up a little bit. This is what we're calling the Codex Ask Anything show. So members of the chat, you got a question to ask? Throw it in the chat. We're going to answer it. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about tonight. Pam wants to know about. Oh, she wants to pick Chameleon Boy.
All right,
there you go.
Pam, I'm not just kissing up to you, but you know what? If you saw our top DC characters, Chameleon Boy is my favorite Legionnaire, the permanent head of the Legion espionage squad. I love it, and my favorite Chameleon Boy book. Pam, you probably remember this. Jim Starlin wrote this book, and he wrote it and he did the art on it. I want to say it's Superboy in the Legion 237, maybe 239. Ultra Boy had been framed for a murder, and he was on the run, and all the Legion was coming after him because it looked like he did it. And Chameleon Boy wasn't part of the group going after Ultra Boy. He kind of did track down Ultra Boy, and he was surprised he had given everybody the slip, but not him. And he's like, Joe, you know, I'm the permanent leader of the espionage squad. You're gonna give me the slip? And he said, I don't think you're guilty of this. I'm doing some investigating, and sure enough, he cleared Ultra Boy, and there was an insidious plot within the Legion. So that right there I just thought was an amazing Chameleon Boy moment, a great Legion issue. So yeah, Chameleon Boy is my pick as well.
I'm gonna go with Triplicate Girl for obvious reasons.
Yeah. Well, even when one of them is down for the count, you still got Duo Damsel.
Emily just came by and wanted me to show this Mario picture.
Wow, look at that! Got Mario
Nice.
right after she created Laser Girl.
So she told me she traced this off of a coloring sheet and then colored it.
Nice.
So she just came down so that I would download a game on her iPad for her and went, you should show them this.
Nice.
So
That's awesome. Good job. Good job.
All right, so there was that popping to the shops. All right.
All right.
Right.
Thanks, Mobius.
Raiders win big and free. Yeah, that's if they can afford everybody now that they got Crosby back.
Yeah, they didn't give up their 2 number ones. They got Crosby back. My God, they paid a king's ransom for the center from Baltimore. Wow.
Yeah, see, that's why all these people online, all these experts are saying, "Oh, this is dirty by Baltimore." They're just mad because they signed the center. They already made a big offer to Linderbaum, the center, and he turned that was going to be record-setting for the league, and he turned it down because he wanted more money. So, this narrative that they're just mad that they signed Linderbaum. They already knew that Linderbaum was out the door. His agent had made that abundantly clear. They were taking the biggest contract. It didn't matter what the team was, and the Ravens were not going to pay tackle money for a center that can't pass block. So have fun I guess he's not in Los Angeles or Oakland anymore, in Las Vegas. Have fun in Vegas. I know I would. I'm sure they'll draft another one. And as far as the dirty thing, every trade is pending a physical.
Yep.
Failed the physical.
That's
and
true.
And all these people say, well, everybody knew, they knew about his knee. Everyone knew about his knee. Yeah, everybody knew he had this injury. And then he gets there and the doctors are looking at it and they're doing their MRIs and they're comparing them. And they're like, this is more damage than we were led to believe. And from what I understand, the issue isn't what they think he can do next year. They're like, yeah, he'll play next year. The issue is in 3 years, he's going to be done. They think his knee's going to be done. He's not going to be able to play anymore. They're not giving up 2 first-round picks for a guy that's only going to play 2 or 3 years. And, and then the people saying, they could say whatever they want, but, players fail physicals all the time. The Raiders had done it when they were in Oakland. There was a player that they were going to sign. He failed the physical and they didn't end up doing it. They're not the only team that's ever done that. Yeah, it's not a good look, but they're not just gonna take a guy that's only gonna play 2 or 3 years and give up that much for him. And it sucks, but
the fact that it was 2 number ones, I think that deserves the extra scrutiny.
Well, and also too, People talking about Dallas because Dallas was the other team that was in on him. Dallas's doctor is a guy that did the surgery on Patrick Mahomes and a couple other guys, and he looked it over and said, "Yeah, you shouldn't. His knees, it's not good. The degenerative part's not good. Don't sign him." And you notice that Dallas hasn't was the other big ones in with the Ravens trying to get him, and they haven't made any moves to get him since because their doctor looked at it and was like, "Nope."
Well, we'll see what happens now. The price will drop, and maybe it's worth a first round pick, but not two.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Whose head would you like to see Mario jump on? Oh my God! To quote Top Gun, the list is long but distinguished. How excited are we for Doomsday and Secret War movies?
I'm excited for it.
I'm very excited for Doomsday. Secret Wars, I'll have to wait to see how Doomsday is before I gauge any level of excitement for that.
That's true.
I think it'll be great. I think it'll build. I'm excited for the Lanterns after seeing the trailer.
Yeah. Actually, I like that trailer. That was a good trailer.
I did too. A lot of people aren't so. I think it's got edge to it that I'm interested in it.
I'm torn on it because while I think it looks like the show's going to be good, at the same time, it seems clear that they're going to kill Hal Jordan at the end of it because he's already a bit older. He's already trained the next guy, and he's made a point of saying in the trailer, "This is my job as long as I live until I'm dead." And like that seems like, something that you wouldn't say, narratively unless you were planning on getting rid of the guy. And I didn't really, even though the line at the end was funny when he asked, "Do you talk to any Lanterns?" He's like, "No, I'm the only human one. One of them's a fucking squirrel." I'm like, that's not how Hal Jordan looks at, at his fellow Lanterns in the Lantern Corps. That line kind of, as the more I thought about it, that line kind of rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. Like he seemed pretty on point the rest of the trailer, but that line rubbed me a little bit.
Me too. I mean, at first I liked it because it was kind of like a funny joke.
Yeah.
But then I was like, I don't know if he would actually really say that.
Well, part of me wonders if he's just screwing with John too, because I'm assuming that Hal still would have got the ring from Abin Sur. So he didn't, I'm assuming he didn't get it from another Earther. So, maybe he's just busting John's balls on this. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and then when he says, when he says, "I'm the only Earth Lantern," it's like, well, we've already seen one Earth Lantern, Guy Gardner, and we know that Guy's going to be in the show as well. So that's interesting.
So that could be another case of misinformation that Hal's given him. So,
and and it is kind of nitpicky, but I did see, not just people, the lack of green, which, but it is kind of nitpicky, but true when people were like, well, that scene where he's flying, it's all, they show it all the time in the comics and the animation, everything. They've got the green glow around them when they fly. Where is it in that? Like, is it not like that anymore? Are they just still working on special effects?
They're probably still working on special effects.
Or maybe they don't want to give a reveal.
Maybe
they're holding back a little bit,
Yeah.
I mean, so we'll see. And then even before all that, don't we get the Supergirl movie sooner than the others?
Yeah.
July 26th, I think.
July 26th. Okay. I mean, everybody except Richard here would enjoy seeing Momoa's Lobo.
Very true.
When does Lanterns come out?
I thought that was in the fall, maybe.
I wanted to say, September-ish. Let me see. Let me Google it. See what it comes up with.
August 2026.
Well, there you go.
That's close to September.
And the new season of Daredevil comes out pretty soon.
The 24th. Yep.
Yeah.
12 days.
Okay, I need to watch the last season. I heard there's some really good Frank Castle moments in it.
Oh, that season was so good.
Yeah, I need to watch. So I watched the first 2 seasons of Daredevil of the original Netflix run. Wasn't there a third one?
Yes.
No, was there a third one? Or
I
was
thought
it
there was a third.
Yeah, Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil ran 3 seasons. All the rest of the shows ran 2 seasons, except for Defenders that had 1 season.
Right.
Daredevil ran 3 because that was the one that came out first.
Did Jessica Jones have 2 seasons?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So is it worth me trying to watch the 3rd season of the Netflix one or not really?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
really? Well, I mean, watch it.
Was Castle in it?
Trying to remember now.
Was
I don't
Punisher in season 3 of that?
No, because he had gotten his own show at that point.
Yeah, because
Right.
we had 2 seasons of him. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. 2 seasons of that. Yeah, because there were the 2 Punisher seasons. Jessica Jones, because there was season 1 was Purple Man, and season 2, well, they didn't call him Purple Man in it.
Yeah.
Called it Kilgrave.
Kilgrave, yeah. And then season 2, I forget who the big bad guy was in season 2, but I remember like them using Whizzer in it for about 30 seconds.
Oh, really? The Wizard was in it. Nice.
Yeah, not it was like some kid that called himself the Whizzer and promptly died right away.
Wasn't the original Wizard. Okay.
No, it was.
So to answer your question, Gary, I don't think you need to watch it for this season, this new rendition of the show, but it's still probably good to check out.
Okay.
Well, you need to watch it because it's excellent.
Yeah, that in itself is true.
Listen, I've been trying to watch Peaky Blinders for 5 years and haven't gotten to it, so I have to.
Oh, that's so good, and the movie's coming out too.
I know. I have to make cuts. I mean, there are things I just can't get to, so I probably just need to fast forward and get to this and that season of Daredevil because I do want to see Castle as Daredevil. I mean, what's his Castle with Daredevil? So, and I heard that the last season was really good, and the new Punisher series. I'm happy to see Microchip back.
Yeah,
very cool.
Which I'll have to look back at that because I know they killed his character at one point, so I have to see how they.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that Linus.
Because I think it was Punisher that killed him.
Can't remember, but that might be true. But it always made sense too for Punisher to be as effective as he could be, to have an intel guy like Microchip was a very very sound reasoning to have that kind of a weapon in his arsenal, if you will.
Yeah. And the guy that played Microchip in the Punisher TV show is now the Thing in Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's him.
Yeah.
Evan, whatever. He's also in the Bear.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was Micro. Nice.
Yeah, same. What's your favorite horror movie?
That's a great one. 1982. I graduated high school that year. I waited for this movie to come out. I saw the previews in it at the AMC theater, and I waited for it to come out. And it was about seven researchers at an Antarctic station. Oh yeah, it's The Thing, baby. Thing is my favorite horror movie of all time.
Yep.
I just love the movie, everything from the theme. And one thing that was really cool about seeing that in the theater, and I've seen it in theater probably half a dozen times, but when you watch that movie in the theater is lit up because of the snow scenes in the beginning of it, like the lights are on. And it's really surreal to be in a theater like that with ambient light. So I just remember that being such a surreal feeling. But yeah, The Thing is it for me. How about you fellas?
Well, for me, it was Event Horizon. That's a hell of a creepy horror movie. But it's not the first one I've seen. I think the first horror movie I ever saw was Amityville Horror and Psycho. Those are the first two that I think I saw Psycho first.
I don't think Psycho's really a horror movie though. I think that's a thriller.
Yeah, but when I saw it that young and he spins the chair around and it's the skeleton in the chair.
I can see that being listed as horror, but
yeah.
Psycho.
I mean, I'd say the scariest movie the movie I've seen that scared me the most is not a horror movie, but I remember the first time I watched Silence of the Lambs. That movie creeped me the hell out. And same thing for the first time I watched the TV It.
Oh.
And it was kind of partial because of where I was and the surroundings I was in and what was going on at the time when I watched.
But what is your favorite horror movie though?
See, I don't know that I have a favorite that I could think of. Like I like the 80s, the cheesy 80s slasher movies, or not really cheesy, but like the 80s slasher movies like Friday the 13th and Halloween and
Halloween 70. Halloween.
Yeah.
The
And those
mov-
type of ones.
the movie that scared me the most in my life, and this, I was 1975. I was 11 years old, and I went to the theater and I saw Jaws.
Oh yeah.
That movie scared the shit out of me. And part of it was the theme, the music. Oh my God, the music was such a
Yep.
integral part of that movie. Listen, I was so scared. Going to the beach after that. Oh hell no! I wasn't getting in the beach. I was looking for sharks in the pool, and I may have even been looking for sharks in the bathtub.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
I was. That movie scared the hell out of me. So, yeah, that did it for my 11-year-old self. Now, movies that changed. So that movie scared the hell out of me. A couple years later, when I was, I guess I was 12 or 13. I was either 12 or 13. Another nautical movie changed my life in another way. I went to see The Deep.
Oh yeah.
And the first 10 minutes of The Deep, I walked into that movie theater a boy, and I walked out a man. So I will say that if you've seen the first 10 minutes of The Deep, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
I'll say, even though the movie franchise went on much longer than it should have, and it really did just turn into torture porn. The first Saw movie, I remember actually the first two I thought were really good, but the first one especially, seeing that in the theater, I loved it. And the end, I think it's safe to give it away now because that movie came out 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But the end, when the guy stands up that you thought was the dead body the whole time, stands up off the floor, and the way they shot it and the music that was playing in it as he just stands up was like, holy shit, I didn't see that coming at all. And anybody that says they saw that coming, you're a damn liar. It was like, what? So like it's the series just got ridiculous, but like that, the suspense that was there in the first two, because the way the second one kind of focused on the cop and his son, was good, but like the tension stuff they built up in them was great. And there was this other horror movie that came out about 20 years ago that's called The Descent.
Oh yeah.
That was good.
That movie is, whew.
That was the team of women spelunkers, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's always, you can't go wrong with a good old Cannibal Holocaust or Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk. I recently watched that with Chris. I hadn't seen that, so I got Western and horror. Matter of fact, I was watching Seth Meyers the other night, and Kurt Russell was on it, and they talked about Bone Tomahawk briefly, and they said, yeah, that's in its own section. If there was a video store now, it wouldn't be with horror, it wouldn't be with Western, it'd be its own section, because no other movie would want to be on the shelf with that. Oh,
that
great.
Might be the most brutal movie I've ever watched.
Oh man, that was brutal. You're talking about endings. One thing I love about The Thing is I love the ending.
Yeah,
between him and between McCready and Childs,
it's ambiguous. Yeah,
it's ambiguous, and that theme is so cool. And Childs said, "How do I know you're not one of those things?" And he was basically, "How do I know you're not?" But he goes, "I tell you what, neither one of us is in any shape to do anything about it." And they just started drinking, and they were both going to freeze to death. And for my money, Childs was infected. Childs was a thing.
I think so too. And of course, we can't forget the classic Monster Squad.
Oh yeah.
Wolfman's Got Nards.
Yes, I was in a band once called Wolfman's Got Nards.
Oh, the 80s were good horror days.
Yes. The Monster Squad, written by future Iron Man 3 writer and director Shane Black, who also wrote, he didn't write Predator, but
he punched up the script.
But he punched up the script and was one of the actors in it, and wrote the Lethal Weapon movies, and did this absolutely brilliant movie called Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Oh,
Robert Downey Jr. and Val Kilmer. That is just, you talk about like a perfect movie.
Yeah.
What is your favorite comic book size format?
I was looking for one. Let's see. Yeah.
I'm guessing Gary's going to come back with a Treasury one.
Oh no, it's not going to be.
I like
right here. We're going to knock shit off when I take this down.
I like regular standard size comics. You know,
Yeah, I like the normal size format.
The Treasury editions are cool, but you know they're kind of cumbersome when it comes to reading it. You know, the digest ones are can be kind of small. You know, with the print that you don't really get everything. So just standard format for me.
With me, standard format, but the 100 pagers. I am a sucker for the DC 100 pagers. That's my first book was JLA 111. It was a 100 pager, and now I think I'm 700 pages away from having everyone ever published by DC, and they're all romance books. So I'm still trying to track down young love or young romance. But these were and when they first came out, they were only 100 pages for 50 cents. I love these books because you got a new story in them, and then you got these great reprints from DC's great backlog of historical things. So this is how I learned about the Justice Society and you know, these older characters and these stories from the 40s. So it was so neat, so cool. But the 100 pagers, man, they were the greatest thing going. So I love them. But yeah, standard size.
Cool.
But the 100, but just, you know.
Which was your answer, Sal?
The standard size as well.
Yeah.
But I love having the other sizes too.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, they're definitely
variety is the spice of life.
Ooh, the most influential year in comics.
Ooh.
I think because of where we are modern now, I believe didn't Dark Knight and Watchmen come out the same year?
And Squadron Supreme.
There you go. So there you go. I think that year is.
Was that 86, 85, 86?
Yeah, I think so. I would say 86 is what I would guess.
Yeah.
I think that's it, to have those works that were recognized. And
what about the year that when did Hard Traveling Heroes come out?
That was 1970.
That was 70.
Yep.
So
And
that was pretty hardcore.
And I believe it was the same year that you had the Spider-Man trilogy with Harry Osborn with the drugs too.
The drug issues that were not Comic Code approved.
No, they were not Comic Code approved. And what was interesting about that, those came out before the Green Lantern, Green Arrow issues did. Yeah. And Harry was had the problem with pills and all that, was the addict. So they didn't have the code. The Green Lantern, Green Arrow ones, when they did those, they went a step further and they made Speedy, who was a hero, the junkie. And then they showed in 86, they showed one of Speedy's friends shooting up on heroin and dying. I mean, it was this, all these psychedelic colors as he's tripping, and then his heart gave out and he died. And that was so powerful. So those Bronze Age books there, they did usher in a new level of realism.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, you could also go old school and say 1938 might have been the most influential year because of the advent of Action Comics and Superman 1 changing the industry with it wasn't the first. Well, Superman wasn't the first costume hero. I mean, DC was really Dr. Occult was, but he was pretty much the first superhero, and that changed everything.
And it depends on the era too. Like you could also make a case for 1992 when Image started, the way that changed. I mean, there was always indie books before that, but nothing, like the way that Image started and the way they're still going strong, and what they did to not DC as much because they were all Marvel guys that left, but the way that they affected the industry, especially the 90s, not just with the style of the industry, but what happened with it, with the speculators and the boom and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's very valid. I could also throw 1956 out there. Showcase 4.
Yeah.
Barry Allen, the start of the Silver Age, because I think we said on the show, if Julius Schwartz was the editor of DC then. He came from a science fiction background. He was a science fiction editor, knew all these sci-fi writers, and had been working with them for years. And they relaunched the superheroes, giving them more of a science fiction background, and the superheroes resurged. I mean, they pretty much waned with the 50s. As the advent of the 50s, superheroes waned, and the only superheroes published continuously since the 40s were Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and in backup features Aquaman and Green Arrow. So that was all you were seeing. So then they reintroduced the Flash, and it's a huge hit. And then a few years later, they're reintroducing Green Lantern, and the next thing you know, there's a Justice League. And if there's no Justice League, there may be no Marvel Universe because of the fabled golf game between DC's publisher and Martin Goodman, Marvel's publisher, where I believe it was Leibowitz was for DC was bragging about the sales of the Justice League of America, and Goodman goes back to Stan Lee and says, "Hey, we need a superhero. We need some kind of team book." And this is the very time where Stan was having a crisis of faith with his profession and was considering leaving Marvel to go try his hand at in other parts of the writing industry. And his wife said, "Well, before you leave, why don't you just write one book the way you want to write it?" And he writes FF1, and that's another thing that changed the course of comic history. By writing FF1, and then that led to Spider-Man, and then X-Men and Thor and Avengers. So that golf game, I think that is so cool. You know what? I hope it's true. I hope it's a true story, because it's a great story. It's a great story.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Absolutely.
Booge, as I'm catch up, Booge is putting these up because Booge is if you guys didn't know, he's a Raiders fan.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep.
No, yeah, we'll see if they're going to keep Crosby. They're going to have to get him to restructure his deal. What comic book title or character do you wish more people knew of?
I like that.
It's tough now because even there's so many characters that people know about just from the TV shows and the movies that they might not know a lot about them, but they know of them. Like maybe before you would have said Wonder Man. It's like, well, Wonder Man's on, got the show on Disney Plus. Not really comic accurate, but
as far from comic accurate as there can be.
Yeah,
I liked it though. It wasn't a superhero thing, but I liked it. It was great.
I'll say maybe, Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Grimjack.
Grimjack, baby. Grimjack.
I remember we did the episode on Grimjack.
And there was supposed to be a TV show. Everything was being laid out that it was going to be a show. It was going to be a TV show on one of the cable networks, and COVID killed it.
I don't know. That's
just my personal experience. I think we should or
say Venom.
No,
Venom.
I don't know. I know.
Venom. I mean, there should be movies about Venom. Why?
There should be at least three. There should be at least 3.
Yeah. Why haven't they done that? I get like a big actor, like I don't know, Tom Hardy or somebody to be.
I don't know. Probably 2. Yeah, that's so true. Now, I was thinking more like the original JSA, like with Doc Midnight and all them, because I really don't know them that much other than what I've learned from you guys. So, I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I would say something like that. Some of the really older, predating superhero characters,
there's some of these comics that I thought were really great that just, for one reason or another, didn't last super long. That would be nice if more people outside of comics knew about them. Like off the top of my head, I'd say for Marvel, like Next Wave, which just, if you haven't read that book is just, I think Warren Ellis described it as like, it's everything pure about a comic boiled down. He's like, we don't have to worry about plot. We don't have to worry about deep characterization. It's just like superhero action, over the top. It's funny. It's awesome. It's such an amazing read. It's so fun that him and Stuart Eminem did. The original miniseries, and then the first regular series that didn't last too long, but for Agents of Atlas, absolutely loved that. That book was so cool. For DC, Secret Six, I love that. Shadow Pact, I love that. There's another one right here that I absolutely love that I think everybody should read. And in comics, it's well known, but outside, it's not. A Planetary.
Oh yeah.
Absolute masterpiece from start to finish. Now the crossovers that they did were they did a couple crossovers that with JLA, Batman, and the Authority. The Batman one was okay. The other two I didn't care for, but like the actual 27 issue Planetary is just an absolute must read, masterpiece start to finish.
DC had a series called Manhunter, and the Manhunter was a lawyer named Kate Spencer. I really enjoyed that series, and that series not a lot of people.
Oh, Manhunter, that was fantastic. And then we saw her.
Andrico was the right.
You know, when Bendis did that. What was it called? Yeah, the event Leviathan.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was part of that, but Mark Andrico wrote it, I believe, and it was really good. It was
so good.
And it's just it wasn't very heralded, but God, it was a good series. I think there are 3 or 4 trades they collected of the original runs, but I thought she was an interesting protagonist. To hero. Here she's a single mom raising her kids. She was a
DA.
DA, yeah, she was a DA. And I just thought it was really interesting and learning the ropes of the hero biz at the same time. I thought it was a pretty fascinating character.
Yeah. Favorite color Lantern Corps?
Brown. Brown. Pam, look at Pam's on it.
Pam's on it. Pam is on it.
The ones that we all co-created. The lanterns we'll never see.
I mean, I'm not real anxious to see the brown. Chris is probably seeing it tonight.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is from that Brown Lantern.
He's recharging his ring, right?
He's recharging his ring.
I mean, I don't know, man. I got to go with green.
Yep.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with green as well. I mean, I liked when we had the Spectrum War, and we had the combination of blue and green. I like how they interacted and fed off each other.
Yeah, the blue supercharge and everything.
Yeah.
I will say this: the Black Lanterns were pretty cool.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were.
What a great adversary!
Yeah.
For my money, man, Blackest Night is the greatest crossover ever. And I know some people, they hate.
I bet you are, Pam.
Me too. About how Crisis should be it, but man, I'm telling you that frickin' Blackest Night was just phenomenal.
That was badass. Favorite Daredevil story and writer?
Wow.
That's been, man.
Daredevil's a character that, I mean, he's
had so many.
More so than even some of like the big name characters, has had some amazing runs by some amazing writers. It's
because he's a hero that, yes, he has enhanced senses and things like that. He's a character that you can write on that street level, that he's not overpowered, where you have to come up with creative ways to thwart him. So I think he's great. His Catholic guilt, I think, plays in heavily.
Yes.
My God, Bendis and Maleev had a great run.
Balancing him being a lawyer with him being a vigilante.
Yes.
Yeah, the dichotomy there. Him being a man of God who also practices violence. The
and
way
dresses up like calls himself a devil.
The devil.
Red with little horns. Though they haven't done anything with him with, being a lawyer in so long. I'd like to see them find a way to get back to that.
Yeah, they just had the last big arc they did. He was a priest, his father. He was a priest.
Best.
But the Maleev Bendis run, I mean, was great. I enjoyed the Kevin Smith Quesada run that they
Yeah,
did.
that was good.
But
That
I
was
don't know
good.
how you get away from the Frank Miller clause.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, I think Frank Miller tops that list for me.
Yeah, because you had Elektra in there, you had Bullseye taken to another level, you had the great Kingpin issues in there.
Yeah.
I just, and even the smaller characters, was it who was it, Turk and whatever, that were
Yeah.
always getting beat up by
Zdarsky had a really great long run recently.
Yep.
Yep.
Man, it's so hard. I don't know. I don't think I can pick one for that.
Now, I might be wrong here, but didn't Brubaker write a lot for
Yeah, Brubaker had a really good run.
Yeah.
They've, Wade, in the midst of all of this, super serious, dark storylines with him, then, right in the middle, like Mark Wade and who was the artist with it?
Sammy
that was the artist. We're just like, hey, we're gonna have him go in San Francisco for a while, and he's just gonna be a fun-loving superhero again.
He's gonna go back to San Fran,
yeah, and that was good too. So,
Daredevil Yellow by Sale and Loeb was really good.
Oh yeah, that was
And then there was another mini, Daredevil: The Man Without Fear, that Romita Jr. did the art. I can't remember who wrote that, but that was good. So Daredevil's a character where, when you think about the great Marvel characters, Daredevil doesn't pop up immediately. But like Dan was saying, man, Daredevil's had some of the greatest stories written about him. I just think he's a character that people can dive into, that he's just got so much meat on the bones of that character.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all relate to him maybe a little better,
Right.
Favorite Batman story?
Oh, God.
Batman writer. Jesus.
I'm going to say Night's End for me, or Night's End, that whole Nightfall, Night's End, Night's Return, that whole trilogy.
Yeah, the whole storyline where DC was just like, all right, you wonder why Batman doesn't kill? Here's why. F you. There was like the whole storyline was just done as an F you to the fans, to be like, here, this is what you want. Oh, you don't like it? Shut up then. I mean, that's basically what that was.
All right, so Batman, now we're really getting into many, many great stories. So
yeah,
Long Halloween by Sale and Loeb is
that's an amazing one.
Way up on my list. Now, Hush by Jim Lee. And God, who wrote Hush?
Jeff Loeb.
Loeb wrote Hush. And I've got to say, man, even though it wasn't one long storyline, I've probably said this 100 times on this air. If you're a fan of the modern day Batman, you owe Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams a tremendous debt of gratitude. I think the Denny O'Neil Batman work and the Neil Adams Batman work, to me, are probably my favorite Batman tales. And because they had to bring him back from the public just thinking of the stupid TV show that was in their heads, that it was dumb, it was campy, it was gimmicky, it was gadgety, and they've made him back into the gothic creature of the night he was originally created as. So, in the stories, if you're going to check out Batman 251. That's the famous one where a giant Joker's holding Batman on the playing card. That is a great story. It's the Joker's five-way revenge. The Joker had not been used in 2 years, I believe, in DC in the Batman titles, and they brought him back totally homicidal. One of the Joker's former gang members ratted him out, and there were 5 of them. He doesn't know who, so he'll just kill them all. That way he'll get them, and that's how his brain worked. He's just going to kill them all. And that story, he was just such a homicidal maniac, and it was brilliant, and it was beautiful, and Adams's art was fantastic. And the other one I want to point out from there was a story from Batman 237, which was a few years earlier than 251, Night of the Reaper. And that was just a tough story that had an ending that just, made your heart just go, damn. And it was just really poignant. And that was by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams too. So Night of the Reaper and Joker's Five-Way Revenge, 2 great ones. And they had a great collaboration. But for me, man, I think it's got to be Denny O'Neil.
So you didn't laugh at Joker's boner?
The Joker's Boner. You know what? I don't know who wrote that, but that is the Joker's Boner is pretty funny. I have that book. That's Batman 66.
Yep.
That is a pricey little meatball. Let me tell you there.
That's right.
But it's the joke, or the book makes reference to the Joker's Boner at least a dozen times.
I might go with Frank. I don't know. I might go with Frank Miller for writer, just because we got Dark Knight Returns and Year One.
Year One was good.
You know, I tell you, an unheralded run that I remember fondly that I wish other people, you know, had read. That was in the past because it was short, so that's why not as people remember it or read it. But Steve Englehart writing detective and Marshall Rogers doing Batman. Marshall Rogers, I think, was a phenomenal Batman artist, and they had that stint in detective, and this is when the Joker fish were introduced, I believe. Didn't we have the Detective 475 this week? Was that one of the facsimiles? And that's the introduction of the Joker fish.
Yes.
And those two issues were fantastic. And then a few years later, they did Dark Detective, where those two reunited for a 6-issue mini that was really good. And the other cool thing is they introduced what was my favorite Batman love interest in Silver St. Cloud. I love that character.
Nice.
What is your favorite real story and or fun fact from comic book history?
Well, before we answer that, I was going to say, who did the run with the KGBs? I can't remember that one because that was a good story as well.
Did Zek do the art on that?
I think Zek did do the art on that.
I think Zek did the art.
I can't think for shit these last couple of days.
But I can't remember who wrote it. And of course, Jim Apato's Brave and the Bold. Bob Haney writing the Haney verse. Most of those Brave and the Bold stories had nothing to do with any DC continuity, so he exists in his own world, which was kind of fun.
All right. What's your favorite real story or fun fact from a comic book history?
It's kind of interesting when before the first X-Men movie and the Spider-Man movie came out, when Marvel was not doing real well, Michael Jackson, biggest pop star in the world, huge comic book fan, found out they were making an X-Men movie and he wanted to play Professor X.
Oh my God.
And they were like, no. And then he found out they were making a Spider-Man movie and he wanted to play Peter Parker. He wanted to play Spider-Man. And they were like, no, we're going to do something else. So then he actually inquired about buying Marvel Comics so that he could go to him and be like, hey, if I buy Marvel Comics, can I play Spider-Man because I'll own it? And they were like, no, Marvel Comics has nothing to do with Sony doing this movie. And he's like, oh, well, I'm not going to then.
So I guess he could have bought them then because that's when they were going through bankruptcy, right?
They were going through that. He was, Michael Jackson, biggest pop star in the world, could basically print money. So that was kind of interesting.
Is Captain Echo or whatever he was doing there, was that Marvel that did that?
Captain Neo.
Was
it Neo? I think.
I don't remember.
Neo. I don't know. Real life fact. Look, there was Garth Ennis did some of the Garth Ennis war stories are based on real life facts that are really good. The Not Hexen arc in War Stories was really great, where it was Not Hexen means night witches, and the Russian women in World War II were flying World War I aircraft at night and bombing the German air bases. And the Germans hated them because they were doing it at night when they're in their barracks and they're not flying, and they hated these women. But they're flying World War I planes in World War II. So, they did what they had to do. But that was really fascinating to see how much psychological damage they inflicted on, some of the German Air Force, and, bombing them at night and things like that. And it was also interesting to see where these women were given a lot of credit for helping Russia, win the war. And then almost immediately after the war, they were swept under the rug, swept to the side in Stalinist Russia, where they weren't given any credit anymore when they were integral. The women, there were so many women fought for Russia in World War II. was amazing. And lest we forget, Russia lost more people in both World War I and World War II. I mean, a tremendous loss of life in Russia.
Yeah, Mr. Keith's was right. Bullseye they introduced in season 3 of Daredevil.
Right.
Yeah.
That made it worth watching. I like the story that Barry Kitson told me about how he broke into comics, how he was a fan, and he, kept, trying to, break in, have samples, and he sent them in. They said, well, come down to the to the office. It was like an hour or two away from him. So it takes the train in and goes in the office, and they're looking at the samples, and they're like, yeah, it's not quite there yet. And he, but it looks good, keep it up. And he goes, okay, well, can I have an actual script so that I can use that to practice on? Because I don't, he didn't take, he didn't go to art school or anything. He was just self-taught. He's like, I've never drawn from an actual script, so I think that would help me. And they're like, yeah, we'll get you a script. Oh, we're having this party tonight for the office staff since you're traveled so far to get here. Why don't you come? So he goes, has a good time at the party, goes back home. A couple weeks go by, doesn't hear anything, calls the Marvel office, and this is all in the UK because if you don't know anyone out there, he's British. So he calls him and said, hey, the editor said he was going to send me a script. And they go, oh, that guy's not here anymore. That guy's not here anymore. We have a new editor. And he goes, oh, well, can you send me a script? And he said, like, well, come on down. So he goes down, and when he walks in the office, remember, this is weeks after he went to this one party. When he walks in the office, everybody sees him like, oh, Barry, great to see you. Oh, how's it going, man? Like shaking his hand, like, oh, man, what you doing here? Oh, love seeing you. The guy that was the new editor had no idea who he was, but he goes in and he looks at his samples, and he's like, yeah, these are decent enough. And he says, well, the only thing we have right now is the Spider-Man story. Would you want to do that? And he was like, of course, Spider-Man. And the editor told him years later, after he's already well established in comics, the only reason he gave him a job, he's like, yeah, your samples were good. He's like, they weren't great, but they were good enough. He said, but when I saw you come in the office and I saw how happy everybody was to see you, I was like, man, I better give this guy a job or they're all going to be pissed at me. So he owes his entire career in comics to the fact that he was just a really nice, likable guy.
Wow.
And I thought, like, man, that's such a cool story.
What a great, what a great decision to go to that party.
Yeah.
But the fact that just, everybody remembered him weeks later because he was just a nice, fun guy that they enjoyed spending time with, and that's how he got his start in the industry.
That's amazing. He had never even drawn from a script till he got to that Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He really didn't know what he was doing.
It just goes to show, man, don't be a dick. Be a nice guy. It'll work. It might not work out for you right away, but eventually.
So good.
What about you, Sal? You have any favorites?
I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I was trying to think if I could remember any real facts or stuff like that, fun facts. I did like the tribute they did for 9/11 with all the heroes and stuff like that. I did like that. It did make me cry, but I did like that, and I thought that was a very tasteful tribute. So
even though they used they used fictional characters, but they used them well in the historical settings of these characters' lives. Enemy Ace War Idol is one of the most powerful graphic novels I've ever read.
Yeah.
And it is beautiful. And, George Pratt wrote it and did the art to it. And it was Enemy Ace, as he's a very, very old, infirm man, and he's being visited by a writer that's trying to flesh out his story. And as it turns out, they both suffer from, PTSD, and especially the writer, who's a Vietnam vet, and he was a tunnel rat. And if you all know I know you guys know, but for anybody that doesn't know what a tunnel rat is, I don't know if there's a worse job to have in Vietnam. these guys would go in these Viet Cong tunnels and crawl through in the dark. These tunnels were booby trapped, and it was incredibly dangerous. And these guys that did the job of Tunnel Rat, I mean, some of them were a little unhinged before they started doing the job, but others became unhinged from doing the job.
Yeah.
And, this guy was a Tunnel Rat, and he just had a lot of unresolved issues. And between the old man who's not long for this world, Enemy Ace, and through the young man that's trying to write about Ace's time, there was a healing for both of them. And I think it's beautiful. I think the artwork is phenomenal. And meeting George Pratt at Baltimore, Mike and I both met him, was just amazing. And he drew pictures in our books. You know, he drew pictures and inked in there that looks like it was printed on the page. They were so beautiful, you know, and it was really fascinating to meet him, and the beauty. He is a professor at a art institute, I believe. So just when he was at Baltimore, that institute was sponsoring him to be there. So yeah, just Enemy Ace War Idol. I can't say enough about it.
Yeah.
What trade paperback are you guys most excited to add to your collection? About what what are you most excited for, Sal?
So, for trade paperback, I don't know. I'm not really a trade paperback guy, to tell you the truth. I go for the individual issues.
But I'll say the same thing. I don't really, I mean, I have 3 shelves full of them, but
I have some. But I buy the trade paperback of an arc or a storyline that I really liked. If I want to like take it on vacation, I can just grab that one type of thing and bring it with me type situation. So I'll say that, but I'm not rushing out to say, oh, I need to trade paperback to this. No, I need the individual issues.
I'll say the X-Men Elsewhen that John Byrne did, where he was it was like his fan fiction basically, and he was putting it out on his website 1 page a day for a couple years until he stopped, and he finally reached an agreement with Marvel, and he was just writing it and penciling it, and he reached an agreement with Marvel where they're gonna put it out and publish it properly. It's getting inked, it's getting colored, and they're I thought they were going to do it as individual issues, but I think they're doing it as 2 trades. And it's funny, he's inking some of it, and then there's like some random guy that was a fan that from the website that's inking the rest of it, because people would like print the pages out and then ink them and post them in the chat like, hey, I did this or that. So it's one of those guys that's like inking John Byrne on this X-Men book. Like,
caps up 2-1. 43 seconds left. Sorry.
What?
In our non-playoff run.
Yeah, I know.
What about you, Gary? You buy a ton of trades.
Well, see, I think I'm a little different with y'all because where I do love the individual issue. I'm a 3-time sucker, sometimes 4 times. I buy the individual issues. Then I buy the trade paperbacks, and then damn it, the deluxe hardcover, I got to have that too. And then, so case in point, Preacher, have the original issues. Got the trades when they came out. Got the deluxe hardcovers. I even have the goddamn absolute volumes, which are beautiful and magnificent with the gilding on the covers. Oh my God. So they got me 4 times over on Preacher. I love the collected editions. I love how it looks in my library. And then I love, in the past year, DC has really gotten better at collecting their stuff. And the DC's finest books, I'm really digging them. It's their answer to Marvel's Epic line, which has been fantastic. And Marvel's done a great job of keeping those in print. And I love not having to open my originals, right? That I can have my originals where they're supposed to be nice. I don't have to, take them out and read them that way. I love being able to read them in the trade format. And I wanted them to collect the John Ostrander, Tom Mandrake Spectre run for a long time. And the first volume of that came out last fall. And
nice.
So
that's true, Pam.
That's true. They don't. Singles are the best, especially the newsprint ones. So to have that, and that's volume 1. Volume 2 should still be coming out. The Warlord trade, the Warlord omnibus, they finally collected. That came out in December. I'm thrilled to have that. So I love when a good trade comes out. And what I'm hoping for is that some of these things that DC has never collected come out. Infinity Inc. hasn't been collected. All-Star Squadron's not been collected. The original Justice League of America went 261 issues. There have been collections all the way up until about issue, I want to say somewhere around issues 180, 190 to about 220 or 230. Those issues have never been collected, except a few of them have been collected in the JLA, JSA crossover events where they've had trades of just those. But there's about 30 issues of that original run of JLA that have never been collected. I would love to see those collected in a volume.
They should collect the Detroit years and just give it away.
It has been.
They just give it away to people, and people would still say, "No, I'm good."
No, it's not great. It's not great, but it's in a big omnibus. From the Detroit era to the end 261 where they killed the League, where the League was done with. But that's been collected.
Getting in the comments from where we're talking about horror. Yeah, Blair Witch was good for the ending where it was like,
I didn't really care for Blair Witch all that much.
80s was a good time for horror. Yeah,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, The Exorcist.
Yeah, forgot about that one. Yep.
Yeah, there probably are about 20 movies now with the Saw movies and the spin-off. Oh, Rich says spoilers. He hasn't seen it yet for Saw. I'm sorry, Richard. I'm sorry to spoil that for you. Yeah, Cannibal Holocaust. Cannibal Holocaust was so rough that there was, I want to say Italy, but it might have been a different country. It was a smaller country, maybe like Hungary, where a judge, told the studio they had to produce the actors in person in front of them to let them know that they were still alive, because they were like,
wow.
Because if you ever watch it, you know how brutal that is. They were thinking like that this was real.
Yeah.
Now Chris is a
that'd be interesting.
If we do that, then it'll have to be Mike and Gary and Chris that are on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Chris is a huge horror enthusiast, by the way. It's a shame we're talking horror movies at him. The World War II, Mike is the man. Gosh.
Now wait, now you have to say, do you mean books that take place in World War II or books that were produced at that time?
Or books that were about the war, not like the JSA during World War II.
Yeah. Imagine like Sergeant Rock and
or you're talking about the historical stuff like the book Ennisted, like his war stories, or the book he did, Sarah, about one of the Russian snipers women.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not real hard. That The Thing is my favorite horror movie of all time. That not only that's a top 10 movie for me, Boosh.
Yep.
Yeah, Kisses Bang Bang is, if you haven't seen that movie is
very true.
Absolutely amazing.
The original Thing that it was based on was also a great movie, and it was cool that in the new version of The Thing, when they found the footage of the Norwegians thawing out, they used footage from the original movie, which I thought was a great homage. And do you all know who played the Thing in the original movie from 54, I guess it was?
I don't know.
He's real tall. You know who Sheriff Matt Dillon is? It's James Arness.
Oh, okay.
No.
And
I recognize that name.
And another, he played Sheriff Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke. If you're a fan of classic horror, Them with the giant ants, James Arness.
Oh yeah.
Them is such a great movie. We've seen that. Mike, Chris, and I saw that together on the big screen, and oh, what a thrill that was!
They Live.
Yeah.
Come to chew bubble gum and
kick
ass. I'm all out of bubble gum. The only that was supposed to be Kurt Russell in that, but they had done him and Carpenter did so many movies together. They were like, Carpenter was like, I don't want people to think that I only cast Kurt Russell, so he cast Rowdy Roddy Piper in it instead.
Yeah.
God, I love Mr. Push. Call me
any comic book. What would you choose to write? I mean, I think we all know what Sal was going to pick.
You think Sonny would pick an X-Men book?
Sonny would definitely pick an X-Men.
You think he might?
X-adjacent.
Sal would write Venom's Revenge.
Yeah.
Venom eats everything. Venom devours the Marvel universe.
Yeah, Venom devours the Marvel universe. Yep, I'd write that.
Is that your pick? Would it be? Are we safe to say that it would be?
Yeah. Yes. Very safe.
What would your Venom story be?
Oh God, I don't know.
Venom eats Mary Jane, the X-rated version.
Nah.
No. I don't know. I would have to think on that.
What about you, Gary?
You know what? To get all the feels, it would probably be a JLA JSA crossover.
Nice. How about you, Dan?
I had what I think is a pretty good idea for a She-Hulk book.
Nice.
That would kind of take it sort of along the lines of what Byrne did when he wrote it, but also kind of along the lines of like when Dan Slott was writing it and he introduced like Awesome Andy and that stuff. So I'll just say it on here because it's not like I'm ever going to actually get to write She-Hulk. And if any writer steals my idea, if they,
we have it on record here.
Well, we'll have it on record, but they could also take it. And if they write it, I'll be like, I wanted to read this. So it would be, I envision it being a 12 issue story arc. And in the first issue, it would be She-Hulk, she's doing her superhero thing. She's doing her lawyer thing. And, she's handling cases for superheroes. And, you got Awesome Andy, and the, and I forget the name of her law partner off the top of my head, but it's, got that whole supporting cast too. And this cosmic being, alien being comes and drops their baby off where there's like, I need like she saves these aliens and she's like, we're on the run. You need to protect our baby. And then they disappear and she's left with this alien baby that she's then tasked with caring for. So she's essentially like a single mom now. And the 12 issues is her trying to navigate being a superhero and a lawyer and being a single mom and
to an illegal alien.
And all of the normal She-Hulk craziness that goes on with like the messed up relationships. And it would have her going to like different characters in the Marvel universe that are parents and, trying to get advice. So she would be, going to like Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, she'd be going to Reed and Sue and, and trying to get advice from them and get help and like set up play dates and, try and find a babysitter so she can go out on a date. And the date turns out to be a supervillain and, and then just all of this fun action craziness. And then the last issue, the 12th issue of the arc would be, the aliens coming back and, maybe the end of issue 11 and then issue 12 is them coming back and, getting the kid and then her having to save them from, whoever's been chasing them. And that's the end. So that would be my She-Hulk story.
Oh, that's a little family drama.
There you go.
And then I also had another one that I came up with, which would be like a big Marvel thing where it'd be a bit darker. It'd be almost Age of Apocalyptian, where the Fantastic Four, basically all the, a bunch of villains are coming after him and they manage to do him some real damage where they kill most of them. And Sue and Ben are the only ones that survive. And they end up killing Reed and Johnny and the kids. And it drives, because I always thought Sue's the most powerful of the Fantastic Four, like far and away the most powerful. And it just kind of something snaps in her and she just wipes out the villains then. And then she decides, all right, enough is enough with this bullshit. And she just decides we're going to wipe out all the villains. It's not going to, I've lost my family. We're not going to let this happen again. And then kind of becomes a bit totalitarian. And you would see some characters kind of like flee overseas. You would have you would have Doom, who would not be part of, the villains that took on the Fantastic Four. He kind of opens Latveria up and says, all right, this will be a safe haven, because at this point Sue's just doing it for the US. And he, even though his nemesis Reed is dead, with the kids and seeing what Sue's going through, he's like, I'm gonna stay out of this. I'm happy but not happy that it happened. And he kind of becomes a sanctuary. And then some heroes, some people run up to like Canada or Mexico, and then the heroes that are left kind of get divided on the ones that side with Sue and are like, yeah, let's wipe them out. And then the heroes that are like, no, you can't do this, where she kind of takes over the country, the leadership of the country. So they're kind of forced underground to then go and have to fight her. And then it's figuring out, well, which characters are going to be, this hard line and stand with Sue, which are the ones that are going to, that are going to stand up and try and fight her. It's this kind of underground resistance.
There was an interesting Invisible Woman miniseries a few years ago where she was working for the government, and what a great asset she is, an agent,
And then in this, I figure like, all right, the easy ones, Punisher would side with her, U.S. agent would side with her, Ben would side with her because he would have this guilt over, over everything that happened, and still have this loyalty to her. But then he would be like really torn because he would know what they're doing is not right, but he would also not really be able to bring himself to do anything against her. And then again, like I said, it would be, kind of choose, which characters would be on which side. That would be my other big epic story.
That's cool.
You're talking about, if, not wanting, or in this case, you would want somebody to tell your story. I remember talking to Mark Waid about how, one of the great jaw-dropping moments I had in reading comics was in Tower of Babel, with what he sets up to distract Batman with when he's introducing he's stolen the protocols, or Talia, his daughter, stolen the protocols of how to take out all the other Justice League members from the, from his files. So while he's going to attack the Justice League, he needs Bruce distracted. And when Bruce Wayne goes to his parents' grave to put flowers on it, memorialize them, the graves are empty. They're gone. Great big gaping holes in the earth. And I remember reading that going, oh, my jaw dropping. I think Bruce dropped the flowers and everything. It was just, lost his mind. It was just this great, spectacular image. And I talked to Wade about that. Wade says, man, he goes, I had that idea for years. I didn't know when I was going to use it, but I was so scared some other writer was going to think of it. And then we figured out the perfect time to use it. And it did. It distracted the hell out of Batman. He's flying those bodies all over the globe, keeping Bruce going from point A to B to C, all tracking those at the same time. The Justice League's being taken out with the protocols that he has authored, and he's not paying attention to any of that because he's chasing his parents' bodies. So just, but it was just really cool to hear Wade talk about how he was scared to death that somebody was going to think of that and use that.
We ever see a Marvel, DC, and Image collaboration? I mean, we've seen Marvel and DC, we've seen DC and Image, we've seen Marvel and Image.
Well,
the 3 company one, that would be a lot of logistics.
Yeah. Well, or did he mean cinematically? That would really be something.
I think he means comics, because Image hasn't really had a lot cinematically. I mean, I think maybe we could. I think it's possible.
It's always possible, but like you said, the logistics behind it would sink it faster than anything else.
I think we're going to see Marvel and DC do more things together, and I hope we get what Dan has been proponent of for many years. I would love to get that Invaders JSA special.
That leads to what crossover? Any characters do you want? Yeah, JSA Invaders, or All-Star Squad, and what was the other version of it with DC? The All Winter Squad. Something along those lines. it fits so well, and they're already fighting the same villain, and it's such an easy way to do it. You just say like, "Oh, Hitler gets the Spear of Destiny, and he does this, and the realities come crashing together." And
the Spear of Destiny is such a brilliant plot device to use on why those heroes couldn't take Hitler out. I think that is absolutely brilliant. One thing that's great is that DC and Marvel are going to be as the replica editions of JLA Avengers are being published. And even though I have the originals, I'm buying them again. Because I think we need to support that. And, hopefully so many people that never bought it in the first place, hopefully we sell the hell out of these things. I know I'm going to push them hard at the shop.
So what crossovers do you guys want to see?
Well, Paramount JLA Avengers. I'm sorry, JSA and Invaders is number one. Yeah. I'm not opposed to another JLA Avengers, but I don't know how it could stand up to the previous one. I think now Mighty Mike has said what DC and Marvel need to do is quit screwing around and do Deathstroke and Deadpool.
Mm. Oh, Power Girl and She-Hulk.
Yeah,
man, there's a.
I like the.
To be done by Palmiotti and Connor.
There you go.
That would be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of jokes there.
I enjoyed the Teen Titans X-Men crossover, so I wouldn't mind seeing another version of that.
Well, we were going to get a sequel, and it fell through.
Yeah.
It was going to be done by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, and it was going to be the Hellfire Club and Brother Blood teaming up.
Mm. That would have been great.
Yeah, there's so many. Man, there's so many cool ideas out. Like Punisher and Red Hood would be fantastic. And you think of all the superhero ones, but what if they did, a super villain team ups too? They did do that Galactus it was the Thanos Darkseid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's so many cool ones.
How about Hulk and Grundy?
Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Man Thing, Swamp Thing. Yeah.
Lots of things going on there. Man Thing, Swamp Thing, and the Thing.
Seven. We did it when we highlighted it when we had the Thing as our character of the week, but that Thing Hulk Treasury with Bernie Wrightson did the art on and Starlin wrote. That was so good, so much fun between the two of them. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
How high is Gary and Sal's anticipation for that with the Duck Savage Dragon crossover?
God. Yeah, Gary, how's that going for you?
You know what? I've only walked out of one movie in my life. And I guarantee you, if I'm watching a Savage Dragon and Heavy Flow comes on the screen, I'm out of there.
Is anyone going to make books celebrating 250th birthday of this country, Marvel, DC, and?
Well, Marvel's doing 1776 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the closest that we'll get.
Probably so.
Because if they were going to do something, they would have announced it.
I loved during the bicentennial where DC had the bicentennial banner. It just stinks that they only did it on books that were that had the cover date of July or August. That should have been all year. You should have had that all year. And remember when the NFL had the bicentennial patches? Yeah. Okay, Pam. I used the for the 100 pagers.
Silver Age?
No, bigger than Silver Age. Pam, give me a second. Y'all talk amongst yourselves. I'll go get them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going through. Yeah, that was good.
Okay.
Oh, just catching up with Green or Black Lantern.
Yeah. Catching up with all the comments. Yeah, Miller. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're right about that, Boo. Oh, yeah, you're right, Mr. Keith. Captain EO. That's what it was.
Mm.
Which title do you think is better, Batman or Detective?
Wow, that really depends on the era. To tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the creative teams. Do you mean like just title? Like, I think the Batman sounds like a cooler title than Detective Comics, or vice versa. If that's if that, I don't know if you're talking about which creative ones, and yeah, like you said, depends on the era, the creative teams. It's because there's been because Batman, was not in Detective when it started,
right?
And there have been stretches where Batman has not been in the book. So, Batman's always been in Batman.
Right. I guess I would lean towards Batman as being a better title,
Yeah.
Just for the namesake,
Enemy Ace comic character of the week.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
that'll be the Gary and Mike special, because I know I've read so little Enemy Ace. I would need months of need months of advance notice to be able to read enough to do it.
Yep. What else we got?
I'm looking. Are you 3 the reason Schwarzenegger is making sequels to Conan? I mean, even though Conan, the movie Conan, is vastly different from the book and the comic Conan, I'd still be psyched to see King Conan. I'd be psyched to see another Predator with him. Not so much Commando.
That's that.
I know people like that movie. That movie is a fucking turd.
It was cheesy as hell, but
it's stupid as shit.
Yeah. Stick around. He's letting off some steam.
No, Stick Around was Predator.
Oh, that's right.
That's right. He threw the machete at the guy.
Right, yeah.
That's right. Stick around.
And he's letting off some steam when the pipe through him.
Now here's a cool Predator story. Jesse Ventura, was in Predator. Big dude at the time too. So he was talking, with Schwarzenegger, like, he's bigger muscles and this. So he made a bet with Schwarzenegger for a bottle of champagne that whoever had the bigger biceps would win, and the other guy would have to buy him a bottle of champagne. He's like, okay. So Ventura goes and he's getting in the costume fitting and this, and he's like, oh man, that's so tight. Yeah, I'm much bigger than Schwarzenegger. Then goes to him and they measure the biceps. Schwarzenegger obviously has the bigger biceps because he's fucking Mr. Universe. What it was to get Ventura to make the bet, Schwarzenegger went to the costume department and told them to intentionally make the costumes for him that he was going to be trying on smaller so that he would think his biceps were bigger, so that he would make this bet, so that Schwarzenegger could make the bet and win the bottle of champagne from him.
Wow. That's funny.
Nice. Okay, Pam, I got your results. Okay, so Pam, this 100-pager, see the room in it? It's pretty good. You got you got a little, it's you got the board on both sides. It's really good. It is a 775. Okay, this is Gerber 775, and the boards for it. I usually use fullbacks. This happens to be a halfback sheet, but the boards are 750s. This is 750 HB. If you want the fuller board, it would be a 750 FB for fullback. So 750s for the boards and 775s for the bags. So that's very cool. That's how I roll on the 100-pagers, and this is what I use for most of my Silver Age books anyway. And here's what's interesting. So the books, we know the Golden Age sizes are bigger, all right, and then they were thicker, but they were also, the dimensions were bigger. In the early 70s, the books were bigger than they are now too, and it was during the 25-cent era in about 75 or so, where the book shrunk a little bit more. So as I've been bagging, Gerber bagging my books from that era, you could tell it's after they've turned to 25 cents. And during that time, you put the books together, and you'll see some are like a quarter-inch shorter, and that's when they changed it to the modern size. And when you get to those, then you can use the the small, the more modern bags. But I usually try to do silver on anything. I think I use Silver Age bags on my moderns, but this is Silver and Golden Age. It's a little bigger, but for these. And then there's another Golden Age one that's even bigger for the true Golden Age books that you need that are even wider, wider than that.
I also use the Silver Age boards and bags for my modern books.
I do too. I know Jamie said once he didn't like it because you get the because you get this like white at the top here and that. But I found when you buy the modern size ones that they just, you put the books in and they get like the waves, they cut, they don't, they
jammed.
They're too tight. So when you're putting them in there, they don't fit real well. And then if you get a book that's like a thicker one, like anniversary issue, something you're trying to put in there, it's just gonna bend it.
Yeah.
Green Arrow Daredevil would be fun. It could have been in that Batman Deadpool crossover if they gave him more than like 4 pages to write a story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rewrite Jonah Hex with Iron Jaws as Ghost.
Jonah Hex is such a great character, and Weird Western, those were interesting stories. Those were really cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Batman as a monster hunter.
I hear that, Boosh.
Yeah.
Snyder, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, horror sci-fi, you already had Frankencastle.
Frankencastle.
I think Boosh liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Deathstroke and Deadpool. Deathstroke would be so tired of Deadpool, he'd just be constantly shooting him.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to go really disturbing, you got to have a crossover between Deathstroke and Power Pack.
Oh God.
Oh man, that's kind of wrong. How many?
If you know, you know.
If you know, poor Julie.
Yeah, Lobo and Deadpool would be
interesting.
Punisher.
Yeah,
I like that.
Horror Homes and Haunted Gardens.
There you go. Finished with the set.
Oh, Pam, nicely done, Pam.
2 to go.
Nice. Which two do you still need?
Yeah, I've heard that story that Stallone like had to recut Rambo because the original version was so bad. He's like, this is gonna ruin my career. And Stallone wanted all the wanted so much dialogue cut out of it because he felt like Rambo was talking too much. And I remember in the they thought originally he dies at the end of it because in the book he died. So they filmed that, and then the test audiences hated it. They didn't, they wanted him to live, and they were like, this, there's no way the audiences are going to like this guy, after this, but they had to change the ending of it, and then we got First Blood, this one of the stupidest titles in movie history, First Blood Part 2.
The redrawing.
Whichever Rambo it was, I thought it was when he was in Afghanistan.
Yeah, when he was like fighting alongside the Taliban.
When he beat a tank with a knife, I checked out at that point. I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
The First Blood was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when they did all those backup stories in the Deadpool Batman crossover, and they didn't give the creators much room. It's like 4 pages, 6 pages. The only one of those short ones that I thought was really good, and that one was the Captain America Wonder Woman one.
It was. You know what? Maybe we'll get more of that now. It seems like they have an appetite to work together now, so maybe we will. I think it's all about Ka-Ching, man.
Oh yeah, he's definitely in the files. Plop in House of Mystery.
Yeah. I never got into Plop with all the body horror, but House of Mystery, House of Secrets, definitely for sure. Cain and Abel.
Oh, what if you had like Doctor Strange House of Mystery?
Yeah.
Oh.
Doctor Strange visiting the House of Mystery would be really.
Doctor Strange and Constantine team up.
Well, we kind of got that a little bit, didn't we?
They would hate each other.
They would.
Now, Doctor Strange is Zatanna, and Clea being like, "Who the hell is this?"
Who the hell is this?
On the fishnets. Yeah.
Yep.
What Doctor Strange and Detective Chimp.
I love Doctor Strange Fate.
Doctor
Yeah.
Strange Fate. That was a good crossover. Yep.
I got that one autographed at Baltimore the past couple weeks. I got Ron Mars, who wrote it, to autograph it.
Nice.
I got Garcia Lopez drew it. I got him to autograph it.
Cool.
And the third person that worked on it, I'm blanking on who it was, and I'd have to look it up, but they were there too, and I got them to autograph it as well.
You could have a Daredevil Nightwing crossover, and every gal would get pregnant.
Yeah.
Save the city, save the women.
all the gals would all the gals would be on the hit list.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to call it? You guys want to call it a night, or you want to stay up some more?
Let's see if the chat's got anything else pertinent. And you know what? Thanks everybody for playing along with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
This was unscripted. Like Sal said, we called an audible because we wanted to, we wanted to honor Chris to, be able to, for him to be able to enjoy his first comic character of the week with a character he picked. So, Shadow Pack was good, Booge. We agree.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Palmiotti put something on his Twitter a couple weeks ago where he's like, "What book for Marvel or DC would you like to see me write?" Of course, I was like, "I want to see this, and I want to see this, and I want to see this." And then I said, "This was kind of weird, and it's never going to happen. But I'd love if they made this book, and it'd be cool if you write it. I want to see a book that's Zatanna and Blue Devil and Detective Chimp, and they open up a mystical type detective agency, and the clients come to them like like a regular like a detective agency, but for stuff on the more mystical, magical side of things. And the book would be a combination of the superhero stuff, but would also be a combination of like the mysticism stuff and some dark stuff and comedy as well. And I want to see a book like that.
Did he comment on it?
What?
Did he have a comment on that?
He just gave it a like.
Okay. All right. Oh yes, guys, ladies and gentlemen of the chat, thank you so much for working with us on this one. I like this show. This is a good success, if you ask me. I think we could do this again sometime.
Yeah, next time we do it, we'll give people more advance notice so they can think of stuff.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of fun to be spontaneous and fly by the seat of our pants here. So it was great, and we couldn't do it without y'all watching and contributing. Now that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the next one I'll pull my guitar out and I'll play a song. Sal will film it in his kitchen, and he'll walk you through making a red sauce. Gary will set his camera up so you can do push-ups alongside.
There you go. Well, Dan's the new push-up king. He's doing more than me now. I'm doing a mere 480 every other day. He's doing 400 something every day. So
I did 400. I did them Monday, Tuesday, and today. I'll hit them tomorrow. I did skip Wednesday because I went to start doing the first one. I'm just like, no. I did one. I did like one, and I said, no, my muscles are saying no today.
Well, like I said, I'm part of the every other day thing for strength, for muscle building.
Well, so, I don't do them on the weekends either. I don't do like the full thing on the weekends. I might do like 1 or 2 sets of 80 just to do something, but I'm not doing that on the weekends. I'm taking a break.
I hear you. All right then, ladies and gentlemen, we will see.
Thank you, Booth.
Yep. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Yep.
Yeah. Yes. Like I said,
thank you.
Next time we do it, we'll give you more advance notice so you can think of of
Better
some
questions.
like really really
you know what?
nonsensical stuff to ask us.
Yes.
Or the next time we do it's another emergent, another pivot
That
we
could be
have to
too.
make. So yeah, so who knows when it shows up? But I think it's nice to know now that because of y'all that we have this arrow in our quiver that we can use it.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so
this
love
is
it.
100%.
This is our boxing glove arrow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Just whenever you have good questions, just use the little note feature in your phone and just type your question in there and be like, I got this one ready for next time, whatever it could be.
Whatever
There you
pops
go.
up. Like
All
it. I like it.
Thank you all for being a part of this. Awesome.
Yes. Yes. Thank you all. All right. We'll be back next week for the comic character of the week, which should be Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
And don't forget to catch us on Saturday night for Comics Unleashed. So we'll see you